Hello and welcome to Dave the Soup Betting educational series. This series of videos are in my playlist. This is the fifth one in the series, I believe. Today we're going to do racing distances. Here's the PowerPoint. Okay, today we're going to cover horse racing distance and equivalents. It really does help if you're familiar with imperial measurements. If you're not, I will go over them, but I'm not here to teach people the basic stuff. But anyway, I will go over them. So actual distances in horse racing, you've got 1 mile, you've got a furlong, you've got a yard, and you've got lengths and fractions of lengths, such as a short head, a neck, three quarters of a length. The length and fractions are all subjective. They're all equivalents. And I will go over them as this slideshow progresses. So 1 mile. 1 mile is 8 furlongs. 8 furlongs is the same as 1,760 yards, which is also the same as 5,280 feet. How many lengths are in a mile? Again, that's subjective. So all these numbers, different measurements of a mile, all equivalent. But lengths, you don't know as yet, do you? So 1 furlong is 220 yards. 1 furlong is 660 feet. 220 yards is 660 feet. But how many lengths are there in a furlong? Answers on a postcard. Maybe not. So 1 yard. 1 yard is 3 feet. How many lengths? Well, actually, it's fractions of a length. But how much are the fractions? Again, it's subjective. Is it subjective? Is one length really subjective? The British Horse Racing Authority, the BHA, say that a length is in the region of, notice the words in the region, of 8 or 9 feet. Now, obviously, that depends on the size of the horse. Do you know the length or size of every horse that you wager money on? So, a length is actually different to any of what I've just mentioned. A length at the winning post is not the same as lengths after the winning post. So you would think 3 lengths after the winning post, if you get beat by 3 lengths, it would be 3 times the length at the winning post. And it isn't really. And here's why. If your horse wins by a length or gets beaten by a length, the judge will call it a length. If it's less than a length, half a length, he'll call it half a length. But if it gets beat 3 lengths, the lengths are not as the winner goes past the post. They are all time-based. So it's the winner's time, bang, and then your horse, if you back the second and it's 3 lengths behind, the time of the horse. And the BHA work it out at 0.2 seconds. So if your horse gets beaten by 0.6 seconds, that's classed as 3 lengths. If it gets beaten by 0.4 seconds, it's 2 lengths. 0.2 seconds, well, that'll be a visual length, supposedly. The length is actually time-based. So at 0.2, there are 5 lengths in a second, according to the geniuses at the BHA. This is incorrect. at all racing distances in flat racing, all distances in flat racing. Okay, so let's work this out. If a length is equivalent to 0.2 and is time-based, at Leicester over 5 furlongs, which is 1,100 yards, which also is 3,300 feet. The standard time over 5 furlongs at Leicester is 57.5 seconds. So if we divide 57.5 by 0.2 seconds, which is the BHA equivalent to one length, we discover that that is 287.5 lengths in the 5 furlongs. If we then divide 3,300 feet by this number of lengths, 287.5, you will find that a length at Leicester over 5 furlongs is 11.478 feet. That's a big horse. Example 2. At Epsom, 5 furlongs, the standard time is 54 seconds. Divide 54 by 0.2 seconds, which is a length according to the BHA, and that gives us 270 lengths over 5 furlongs. Divide the 5 furlongs, 3,300 feet. Divide it by 270, the lengths, and you will find that a length equals 12.22 feet, which in the previous example it was 11.4, and now it's 12.2. Must be a different horse. So, length as a time-based example 3. At the same track, Ascot 5 furlong standard time is 59 seconds. Divide 59 by 0.2, which is 295 lengths according to the BHA. And then divide 3,300 feet, which is how many feet there are in 5 furlongs, by the 295, and you will get one length equaling 11.19 feet. But at 1.5 miles at Ascot, which is 12 furlongs or 7,920 feet, the standard time is 2 minutes 28.5 or 148.5 seconds, 0.50. So we divide 148.50 by 0.2 and we get 742.5.50 lengths at that distance. We then divide the distance by the number of lengths in feet, and we get a length equaling 10.66 feet. So what is a length? Is it in feet or is it in time? The answer is yes. This is a length. This is the problem solved. It is a time in seconds. This is my calculation, by the way. My people can work it out differently. It is a time in seconds a horse takes to travel 10 feet over a given race distance. Why 10 feet, I know you're asking, when the BHA have said it's 8 or 9. Well, we've seen what the BHA equivalent is. It's 8 or 9, but when it's time-wise, it could be as much as 12.5. And I'm not having it. So I'm saying a length is 10 feet. So at Ascot, 5 furlongs, 59 seconds. I'm going to do the length in time over 5 and 6 furlongs based on standard time. This is example 1. Ascot, 5 furlongs, 59 seconds. 3,300 feet equals 330 length. So all we've done is knock a 0 off. We've divided this by 10, by the way. So it's 10 feet per length. So it's 59 divided by 330. And this is how long it takes a horse an ascot to travel 10 feet, or one length, 0.179 seconds per length. At 6 furlongs, it's 72.40 seconds is the standard time. We convert the furlongs into feet. We knock the 0 off, or just divide it by 10, whichever way, but it comes to 396 feet. We divide the time by the number of lengths, and we get 0.183 seconds per length. So at different distances, a length is slightly different, of course. At Epsom, example 2, the standard time over 5 is 54 seconds. So 5 furlongs is 3,300 feet, which is 330 length at 10 feet per length. We divide 54, that's the number of seconds, by 330, the number of length, and we will find that a horse travels one length in 0.164 seconds per length. Now, at Epsom, it's 6 furlong and 3 yards. That's the distance. And the standard is 67.3 seconds. So, 6 furlong and 63 yard equals 3,969 feet, which equals 396.9 lengths. We divide the 67.30, that's the standard time, by the number of lengths, 396.9, and over that distance, one length is 0.170 seconds. So, a length in time. You'll need the standard times for each track for each distance. Convert the distance into feet, then into 10 feet, one length. So, 1 mile 2 is 10 furlongs. 10 furlongs, multiply it by 220 yards. By 220, which is the yards in a furlong. And 10 furlongs is 2,200 yards. Multiply this by 3 feet. There are 3 feet in a yard. So it's 2,200 multiplied by 3 equals 6,600 feet. Divide this by 10. So just knock a 0 off. If you've not learnt that at school, you should have. And you have the lengths. The lengths over 10 furlongs, 660. Divide the standard time by 660 using the following equations and examples. So first you've got to make sure you've got the right distance and lengths in that distance. Again, calculate the distance in feet and divide by 10 to get the number of lengths at a given distance. I think I might be repeating myself, but I'll go over it again. The number of furlongs, F, multiplied by 220 yards in a furlong, multiplied by 3 feet in a yard. So the basic formula is F multiplied by 220 multiplied by 3 divided by 10 equals lengths. A quicker formula is F times 660. That's how many feet are in a furlong, divided by 10 equals lengths. Or, this is as quick as you can get it, furlongs multiplied by 66 equals how many lengths at a given distance. So for example, and this is for extra yardage, 7 furlong and 30 yards, using a basic calculator. 7 multiplied by 220 plus 30 multiplied by 3 /10 equals 471 lengths. Now if you use a basic calculator, you can just type this formula in. Okay? But if you're using your phone or a scientific calculator or a digital calculator in most forms, it will implement BODMAS and you will get this answer, 1,000 549, which is incorrect, but it does use BODMAS. If you don't know what BODMAS is, you should have paid attention at school. So if you're using your phone calculator, do it this way. 7 multiplied by 220, press the equals, plus 30, press the equals, multiply it by 3, press the equals, divide it by 10, equals 471. But this is the easiest way to do it. But if there are some extra yardage, you're going to have to add that on and calculate that. So what to do with the lengths? Divide the standard time by the number of lengths. This will give us the time in fractions of a second. You do it for paired distances at every track in order. So you do 5 and 6 furlongs first at every track. You do 7 and 8 furlongs secondly. Then you move on to 9 furlongs and 10 furlongs. And then once you've done that, 11 and 12 furlongs. So how do you work it out? Such as 5 and 6 furlongs, you might end up with a list. It will be a lot longer than this. Of different numbers. They will all be fractions of a second. 0.1, in this case 694, 0.1732, 0.1781, 0.1810. Okay, so they're all fractions of a second to 4 decimal places. Don't bother with any numbers after this. Write each number down as you do each track. So, what to do with all the list of numbers you've got? Don't bother with the 0 or the point. Just work to the first 4 digits after the decimal place. So in the previous example, you would add these 4 numbers together. Okay? Then you divide the total number by the number of individual calculations you've done. So in this example, we would divide the total number, we would add the total number of these up, which would give us 7,017. We would then divide it by 4, which would give us 1754. After which, we would insert the decimal place, 0 point, in front of it. And we go to the 3 decimal places. Here's a piece of advice. Before you add all the numbers up, count the number of tracks and distances that you've done before you start adding them together. Save a bit of time. So, I'm going to give you one. I don't spoon feed people or overly spoon feed. 5 and 6 furlongs in the UK. The average length, this is an average, takes, or 10 feet, one length, takes 0.177 seconds to cover. That's on average. That's the end of the slideshow. It's not the end of the slideshow. You need to calculate these out yourself. I will not be giving them out. 7 furlongs in a mile, 9 and 10 furlongs, and then 11 and 12 furlongs. I wouldn't bother with further than 12 furlongs. Any distances in between or slightly over, it's a judgment call whether you do it for 6. If it was 6 furlong and 30 yards, I would call it 6 furlongs. If it's 6 furlong and 180 yards, obviously 220 yards in a furlong, I'd call it 7 furlongs. It is a judgment call which you put it in, which pairing you put it in. Okay? That is the end of the slideshow. Okay, so standard times. How I learnt to work it out. I had a book very similar to this. It was through Raceform. And in the rear it used to have It used to have the standard times. Now, this crap piece of junk, flat medium times, they are utterly useless. You need the standard times. I've got a document with them on. It's a little bit dated, but it should serve the purpose. I'm going to put it on screen right now. So, I managed to find this old document of mine. I'm not going to put it online or give any links. Screenshot it. These are some old standard times. They're not bang on, but they will do the business if you want to work out the times in lengths to get a fraction of a second, how long a horse travels in seconds 10 feet. I've given you the 5 and 6 furlong one, but now you need to do the others. Do a screenshot, do whatever you've got to do. I'm going as slow as I can and trying to get them all in. And that's what you've got. Okay, there you go. Using the formula, work out in time what a length is. I'm not spoon feeding people. I've given you one example, 5 and 6 furlongs. My advice is do the 5 and 6 furlongs for yourself. See what you get. You'll actually learn from it. You will learn which are the stiff tracks and which are not so stiff, and people think they are. You'll learn quite a lot just by doing the time calculation, the length calculation. It's how I started learning. My father passed it on to me. He told me how to work it out. He showed me, and I had to work out every time based on the standard times for a length at every track over every distance. It's time consuming. Once you've got your calculator sorted, you can do it quite quickly. I've made it as simple as I could. Okay, but you do need to know imperial distances. The next video, I'll be doing pounds per length, different distances. I will give you those. And then we'll be putting it all together to create, we'll be putting it all together to create a speed rating from which you can do your own handicapping. So maybe 2 more videos in this basic series, and then there might be some more about the actual courses. This is Dave the Suit. Bye for now.